You're tuned into News Across the Galaxy, where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
I hate the way that you talk. I hate the way that you walk. I hate the way you gentrify. I hate the way you cosplay. We don't want to hear you claim LA no more. We don't want to hear you claim LA no more. Welcome to News Across the Galaxy, where we talk all things and nothing but the LA Galaxy. I am your host, Bryant Levels, and today we have a special guest. But before we get to that special guest, my co-host, Edward Campos. How you doing tonight, sir?
Me? Oh, I'm good, man. Happy to be here. It's a great day to live in LA, greater Los Angeles.
Nah.
But
And of course, on the ones and twos, Mr. Chiyaso.
Hey, what up, what up?
And we have a special guest today.
You already said that.
All the way from Los Angeles. From LA is our house. A very close friend to the show. Lovely always to have him. Mr. Dave Arona. How are you doing today, sir?
Ooh, hey! I got the horns and everything coming to you all the way from Big Bad Barson. Actually, no, I'm coming to you from Pomona, still part of the greater LA area, because we at the Galaxy are greater.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I love
well,
that.
I think that might offend some people that don't consider the greater Los Angeles to be Los Angeles.
Well, they can stick to their 12 blocks.
Well, they had to travel far to kind of try to pick up some points, but they did it. But before we get into that, gentlemen, let's do some housekeeping. How are you guys doing? Eddie, I know I haven't seen you in a minute. How you been, sir?
I've been good. I mean, Galaxy hasn't really had too many home games as late. Well, I think we had one right before the break, and besides that, yeah, but life has been good. I'm here. I'm with a good group of people and Chewy. And then, I got my Heineken Zero here because time to celebrate. And a team might be back. They might not be back, but we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that. Sir Dave Arona, LA's our house. How are you guys doing? How are you doing yourself?
Cheers, man! I'm enjoying my Oktoberfest because it is September, and it is that time of year. We got Marco Royce. It's time to fully embrace that. We haven't had that back since the days of Siggy, right? As you can tell, my voice is a little off because I lost it yesterday, or I should say I left it at the stadium. But otherwise, life is good, man. Kids are growing. Kids are healthy. The wife is good. I'm coming to you from my still work in progress LA is our house studio. So hopefully I'm not too echoey in here because there's a lot of nothing on the other side of this.
Before we do get into the starting 11, there was a couple stuff going on before this lineup came out. I know there was a couple injury list players. One, Julian Alde, Joveljic, before we knew he was going to start. But I mean, I thought we all knew he was going to start. And of course, Emito Garces. When you guys saw this potential, non-potential injury list, was there anything that concerned you coming into this match? Eddie, we'll start with you.
First off, goddamn, Michael, hey, I'm not dead, bro. In the chat, he said, "Oh shit, I thought Eddie was no longer with us. Now I'm right here." Jeez, this killed me off. No, but I think I messaged you guys. It's crazy because you also forgot to mention, that, or I don't know if we're going to talk about this later, the absence of Painsil, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
if we
He was
look
there.
back, He was there. Glad
Oh.
to see he made it back. But I mentioned that in previous games, there was a few players, Jalen, Ricky, and Painsil, and Alda, in my opinion, didn't show up for these games or had nightmare games in these Traficos. So for me, the Alde and the Joseph Painsil absence was kind of like, well, this might be a blessing in disguise. So I wasn't too worried. I kind of wanted to see Garces, just because of the physical aspect and what happened with Jalen in the previous game. But he's coming back from injury and throwing someone in a young player, especially back in a big game like this. I understand why that didn't happen.
Well, we'll talk about it into it in a little bit. Dave, same question. There was a couple injury players that you feel the same way as Eddie coming into this match.
I felt pretty confident in the lineup when I saw it. It looked like it was a pretty straightforward, like best available 11 for us. The absence of Paintil, maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise given his form as of late. Yeah, we could have used Aude, but John Nelson has been like a rock for us. Strangely enough, I was not worried about Jalen Neal starting. That proved to be wrong, and then proved me wrong a little bit later. Or proved me right a little bit later, I should say. But I think no, that was the lineup I sort of expected. I knew that the storyline going into the game was going to be about Ricky and how he hadn't created any chances to start, and I knew that was going to change in this game. Irregardless whether we won or lost, I felt like Ricky was at least going to create some chances.
Yeah,
But I think overall I felt pretty good about the lineup.
we'll get into the Ricky thing because there was a tweet by one El Profe Alex Ruiz who got retweeted, and it was an amazing retweet. It could have been one of those retweets where maybe El Profe Alex Ruiz lit a fire under this player. But before that, let me get into the lineup, and then I'll ask you guys what the environment was before the match. Let's go with the back four first. Edgo, John McCarthy, your two center backs, the veteran Maya Yoshida, aka your captain. Next to him is Jalen Neal. Out left, Johnny Nelson, who has been a great pickup, if I'm being really honest. Out right, Mickey Yamane. Your three in the middle, you have Edwin Serio, Marco Royce, and Google has Diego Fagundes as that other center mid, which we know it's Ricky Puig. Out right, you have Gabriel Peck, and then out left, obviously it's Fagundes, and up top is Dejan Joveljic. Before this match even started, the LA Galaxy had came from a loss against a St. Louis squad who was 13th overall in the West. They had no home wins until the LA Galaxy stepped foot in their pitch. And on the opposite end, LAFC had just lost to Houston Dynamo. And in the midweek game, they had tied to them. So they had dropped points, as well as the LA Galaxy had dropped points. Fellas, as soon as you got into that stadium, how did the environment feel? Were you guys confident coming into this match, thinking that we were able to come out with a 4-2 victory in hindsight as you walked into the pitch? Eddie, I'm going to start with you first.
Why do I gotta go first? You said confident in a 4-2 victory. I really didn't think we would win in a shootout, right? I thought that we could escape with the 3 points. But in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't think that we could do it in a shootout. I would think if we were going to win, it was going to be a 1-0, 2-1, maybe at most. But I felt if we got into one of those games where it was going to be high scoring, we were going to be on the wrong side of it. So confident that we could have pulled it off, yes. Confident that we would have won a 6-goal game, not at all.
This is every El Trafico, right? It's always a shootout. It's very rarely ever a 1 or 2 goal game. Coming in, I thought this is going to be like a 3-2 or maybe a 2-1 at the very least. Like if it was a dull, boring game, it was gonna be 2-1. But I knew that that both teams were gonna score because it always happens. I think there's only ever been one or two games in the history of this matchup where there's been a team that gets shut out, right? So I was pretty confident that the Galaxy was going to win. Or sorry, I should say was going to score goals. There were going to be goals. I was confident that the Galaxy was going to win. I felt like they were carrying a quiet confidence into them. A lot of the other MLS pundits, ourselves, Corner of the Galaxy, like a lot of the different Galaxy-centric shows were talking about how this was going to be like the momentum piece for the team to go into the playoffs and face the team because we're going to face them again. For me, I was completely content losing this game as long as it meant that we were going to beat them in the playoffs and knock them out because we owe them to. So if that's the way it was going to go, then that's the way it was going to go. I kept pointing out that they couldn't beat us in a series all throughout the seasons that we faced them in the playoffs, and then they eliminated us in the playoffs. So I was happy to flip the script if that's going to be the case.
And well, to what you just said, if there was a series of three, we got to keep it honest. These guys already beat us twice, and they were very confident coming into the stadium, thinking that they were going to be 3-0 against us this season. I know the game in the Rose Bowl wasn't the score and what we expected, but this team, and we had the midweek show. Shout out to Edgar and shout out to the Counter Press podcast, LAFC podcast. We had a conversation about this, that the way that the LA Galaxy was going to lose this game, and we saw it in the first half, was that LAFC was going to be very strong on the counterattack. And they proved it in that first half. And this game was a tale of two halves. 180 from what the first half was and what the second half was. But let's get into what the first half was. I have some bullet points here, and I'll let you guys go off on that. So the first one is transition defense. We were definitely horrendous on that end. It seemed that Jalen Neal in this particular half was non-existent. Not only that, he didn't even look like an MLS player. Let's keep it real. The first half.
I gotta disagree. He was very, very much in existence, and Boanga knew that he existed, and they were specifically attacking Jalen. And we'll talk about. I think we're gonna talk about him a little bit more in the second half if this is how it's gonna go. But I was very, very disappointed and quite frankly embarrassed for Jalen because he got cooked twice by the same play. And one of the things that I think that any professional or any competitive soccer player knows is don't let the same guy cook you twice on the same thing. You threw him down. I mean, it is what it is. They're both in the box. You don't want to give up a penalty. The Galaxy are I think a little snake bitten when it comes to that situation against LAFC because it's proven to be that LAFC gets those calls and is given the benefit of the doubt, even though it's clear and obvious that there was no penalty. I was surprised to see the one later in the second half that didn't get called, but I think that Jalen Neal, going back to that, it was very, very much existing, and LAFC knew it, and Dennis Bomanga knew it, and he got exploited. And credit to Jalen, he recovered.
Eddie, do you think it's a fair statement to say that this team was stagnant in that first half when it came to the offensive side? I personally didn't see nobody moving. It seemed like everybody was just ball watching Ricky dribble around players, and nobody really wanted to give him a run or give him that 1-2 play. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say so. I think there was some desperation, right? And I know I'm known for like the person to nitpick at Ricky, but I had to mention him. I had to mention him here, but it was a team effort, right? I think the exception of Gabriel Peck, he left everything on the field. I think in my opinion, he was the only player in the first half that was leaving it all out there. but everyone had a pretty bad first half, and just that first goal was it summed up the first half. Ricky forced the ball. He tried to switch the play. He was very short on it. Basically, hit it straight to LAFC player. We almost recovered it with Cerillo, and he tried to do, I don't know what he tried to do in the middle of that field, where he tried to flick it back, and then he lost it, and that put us in a counter. And then you know what happened next with Jalen, and then then Yoshida not being able to get a good foot on it, and then nobody tracking the second pole. That was just a sum of the first half right there. That one play. So yeah, it's fair, absolutely.
On the offensive side, David, what do you think was lacking with the LA Galaxy? I know, like I mentioned earlier, everybody was stagnant. It seemed that every ball that Peck was getting was forced, and it seemed like they were kind of loading on him just to try to take him out of the game. How did you see that first half offensively?
Yeah, I thought offensively they were like it's funny they used the term forced. I thought that they were actually not trying to force themselves on the LAFC defense enough. I think that they were very like apprehensive. I wanted them to be more decisive. That's the word I'm looking for. The balls, the passes, they seem very not very. They didn't have very much pace. It
Too
felt
safe,
like,
maybe.
yeah, a little too safe sometimes. There was one play in particular that I was just like smacking my hands on my knees when Peck went from like one side all the way to the other side and didn't like he was like dribbling across looking for a shot, and he went literally from like side to side and came up with nothing. And I'm like, bro, just take a shot. Like at one of those points, just freaking put your foot through it. It was a little too apprehensive, I think, in the first half.
When it came to this first half, I was a little worried. Well, not worried. So I had written this tweet, and this is what I wrote. I want to be wrong in feeling a bit concerned and uncertain with the LA Galaxy lineup. Not because it was a bad lineup, but because these matches have the tendency to be about moments. Meaning, we could have saved a game-changing sub for the second half to benefit the G's. Do you think I was tripping on that tweet, Eddie?
No, not really, because I think the strategy. Yeah, actually, yes and no, because I think the strategy was obviously you never want to go from behind, right? But I think the strategy was us to implement our game, and that's on them, and that's why we started the way we started. We're like, we're not gonna save Royce to make a difference here. We're not gonna go with our safe Delgado, Brugman tight lineup. We're not gonna save Dejan coming back from injury. We were going for it, right? But at the same time, like you said, we didn't really save a game changer, right? Delgado it's just he's a, how do you say it? He's just a clock in, clock out kind of guy, right? He's not going to come in and change the game for you. Same thing with Brugman, and then obviously Miguel Berry.
No, wait.
No, hold on.
You leave Miguel Berry out of this because motherfucker will come in and score any goal if you want.
So I was gonna say you're leaving Miguel Berry out of this game changer equation here, I won't take that disrespect.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, but I think the obviously the plan was to like George from our pod BFFs used to say, we wanted to hit him, punch him in the mouth early. Yeah. Wanted to.
Wanted to.
Well,
go ahead.
Early on, Ricky had that shot, and I remember turning to my son. I was like, "Oh, there you go. There's his chance created for to go." That was like what, in like the second minute, right before LAFC scored.
Yeah, right before they scored. Yeah.
I was like, "Well, there you go. There's the one chance that Ricky creates. He gets to do the tweet." But no, I think it was a little too safe in the approach. And they got burned. It's a hallmark of our podcast where we talk about how the Galaxy like to spot the other team a half.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that necessarily. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is you cannot play like that going into a playoff scenario because you will get shut down. And the teams that have done it to us are St. Louis and Chicago and Austin. And thankfully, we probably won't see those teams in the playoffs because they ain't making it to the playoffs.
You guys don't think that's a little bit concerning, seeing how like the lower half of MLS has been able to kind of, like in Spanish, vacunar the LA Galaxy, right? Because once you get into that playoff spot, you cannot make any mistakes. And the way the LA Galaxy came in its first half, it let's be real. I know we won, hindsight 4-2, but in that first half, I was very disappointed into seeing a team who was trying to be a contending team get dismantled this easily by a counter-attacking team who probably doesn't even have anything to defend with. And they didn't, as you can see in the second half. Moving forward, do you think this style of play for the LA Galaxy could hold up to maybe even get us to that promised land that we've been wanting to see for so long?
Go ahead, Dave. I'll let you take it first.
Yeah, you go first.
I've been seeing this on our show for a while. I think that this team is still trying to figure all that out. They're learning as they go. They're literally toddlers right now. They're going through. They're trying stuff out. Something doesn't work. They're gonna try something else. They're gonna try the same thing to see when they're gonna be successful. And we saw that in this game. And when it starts to click, it clicks, right? But I think they're learning from all that stuff. Next year, no. From minute 1 to minute 90, whatever, they should be dominating whatever team comes up against them. But in this year, they're still trying to figure it out. It's a rebuilding year. It's a team that is not. I mean, there's a lot of core elements there, but there's also a lot of players that are new, and I think that probably. We'll talk about this, I'm sure, one day in the history of this team is the best signing that this team made is Will Kuntz. And we put all of this together, and you see
as hard as I can.
That's was that Will? Was that a soundbite of Will? Because it should
Hit
be.
me one more time. Hit me one more time. Hit me one more time. Hit me one more time.
I'm coming. I'm just gonna come as hard as I can.
That's Galaxy Land,
And he really did. He came so hard. And you can see the difference in the way that the approach goes. You see how the Galaxy FO mentality has shifted. And I know this is getting like a little bit too, pulled back or whatever. We're talking about this game. But when you think about the players that the Galaxy had at their disposal to change the game, like you guys talked about, I mean, I think that Brugman and Delgado and not McGilberry, okay, well, those guys can be game changers. And even though Delgado's not flashy, he's the metronome. Like, he's gonna make the team, he's gonna make the ball move the way that it needs to move. Sometimes that's what you need. But in the way that the Galaxy approached this first half, and the lessons they learned in that first half, and the way they applied the lessons that they learned to the second half, I mean, at the end of the first half, we were sitting there half joking, saying, "Vanny out, Vanny out," but not really. We know, and the adjustments that got made. It's frustrating that we're spotting the team of a half, but right now, we've been able to recover from that. They got to learn to stop doing that. I want to see the team that steps on people's necks and doesn't let them go. I want to see the team bully teams in MLS, but that's not where we're at right now.
And I think you kind of have a point in that, because when you have a first-year front office who has created and built a team to try to win a championship, you never get it right the first time. I understand that. But there has been games where we've sat here and said, bro, we are way better than this team. We are way better than what the fuck we're showing on the pitch. And there's been cases and cases and cases. Now, understandably, I'm going to keep it honest. I think the fact that Dejan Jovic hasn't been available on his team has probably added to that stress of not being able to beat those quote unquote lesser teams. And I think today it showed that he is a very valuable player. But moving forward, you cannot just take anything lightly anymore. I think what you need to do from here on out seems to be a set lineup, set subs, and set whatever it is in case anything goes wrong. Eddie, before we get into the second half, because I think the first half was atrocious. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was, and like I said earlier in the pod, this match was a tale of two halves. One shit, one amazing, and of course, it lines up with the Hollywood, LA thing where you want to just a flash finish, a casting couch splooge on the face finish, so to say. I know, Eddie, you're looking at that, but you were my casting couch partner. Anyway, I asked the viewers, let us know how you felt coming into this match and at halftime. And we got some responses. First one from Adam DC25. Felt confident Galaxy could win with no mistakes. Didn't have them making a comeback to win. I think that's everybody. Ant dot a la verga 007.
Oh, damn.
Leva behind me said, game over after the second goal. Haha, sucker. Jep the Barber. Shout out to Jep the Barber. He tagged us in one of his videos, which is pretty funny. I called it. We scored in the first minute of the second half. We win. Ole. GK13. Nervous. But confident. I knew I wasn't going to end like that, especially at home. It wasn't going to end like that, especially at home. Of course not. You know what, though? That undefeated thing kind of had me thinking the worst.
Yep.
Because it is a rarity when a dominant team stays undefeated at home. And then something has to give.
And the Galaxy love to break a streak also.
Exactly. A good thing it wasn't today. I would have taken it with any other team, but not last night. Logan Jones. At the beginning of the game, I felt confident. And then I said, shit, Galaxy aren't back. And the last one, 1310 Silos. I was buzzed at halftime, ready for the Galaxy to turn up, and whooped on the Levas. Perfect. Gentlemen, coming into this half, I know we were all very distraught on and very surprised at how the Galaxy came out in this first half. Are these responses to how everybody felt legitimately, or is somebody here tripping? Eddie, I'm gonna go with you first.
Well, we also can't just skip by the second goal, right? It was a copy and paste almost from the first one.
More embarrassing.
Yeah, more. And also, I think we have to point some fingers at McCarthy as well. You got beat at your own post. That was not a good look. And I think going into the second half, it looked like men versus boys, you know, us being the boys. Oh. And I mean, we literally had kids on the field, you know, so it felt like, damn, this is just. I think going into the second half, I'm like, you know, this is it, you know, this is the way the season's gonna go down, right? This is the way it's gonna end eventually. And something that was coming through my mind is, if you guys remember, the last couple years, I called and believe me, that second half changed my mind. And after this spoiler, but I started thinking back at last year, like the St. Louis, right? When like the St. Louis team, when I called them pretenders. I think the year before that was Austin, right? I was like, they're pretenders, and I started feeling like that's kind of us this year, you know. And obviously, it completely changed, you know, once the second half started. But I felt like that was it. I was actually really close to Dave, and I don't think we had much words, right? We're just like, fuck, this is bad. This is bad. I made the joke, and I'm sorry. I'll take it back because it was a different second half for Jalen. I told Dave, like, damn, Jalen wore his skates instead of his cleats today. But all in good fun. I don't think we were like mad. We weren't mad or anything about it. We're just like, damn it, we're trying to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
It was what it was. I think I told you that Jalen and Bowengo, that's a mismatch. It really should have been Yamane helping out more on that side, because I feel like Bowengo's he's just a killer, man. Like he really is. Like, say whatever you want with him because he plays for those other guys, but the dude's a baller. He knows how to exploit defenders, and as much as we love Jalen, he's still got a lot of stuff to learn. And yeah, going into that halftime, I think Eddie and I both looked at each other and said, "Well, fuck," for about 3 minutes. Like that's what we exchanged. Right? We're like, fuck.
And shoulder shrugs just.
Yeah, it's like the infamous shruggy man. It's like, what do you want to do? But I gotta say too that the folks that I was sitting with, my podcast partner Bobby and Simply Soccer Michelle, were both like just ready to go home and throw their hands up. My youngest son, who was with me, was the only one that was like, no, we're gonna come back. He even said like we're gonna win this 5-2. And so he thankfully the Galaxy proved him right. But one thing that I noticed at halftime while the Glitch Mob was playing the one song, I was disappointed with the Glitch Mob and their remix of Seven Nation Army. But that's that kind of sums up how I felt about the first half too. The Galaxy had something up their sleeve because they spent the entire second half watering that side of the pitch, the side that we're going to attack. So if we're talking about coming real hard, they were getting ready for that because they were getting that side of the pitch nice and slick, ready for them to just slip in. And and when they came out in that second half, they came out with determination. They came out with urgency. They came out with balls.
Oof.
Yeah.
Hit me one time, Eddie.
I'm coming. I'm just gonna come as hard as I can.
All over that half of the pitch.
I hope they called the cleaning crew for the mezzanine area.
And actually, I was actually going to ask you guys about that. It to me, because I wasn't at the game. I saw it on TV, and it looked like the pitch looked very bad. I don't think I've ever seen it this slippery, from my recollection. It seemed like it was a detriment to the LA Galaxy's strength, which was the wings. We saw Peg get put out of this match, not because he was bad. It was just it didn't seem like it was his style of game today or last night. And then the second half started. Eddie, you going into the locker room playing like shit. As the coach, what do you tell him aside from, hey, here's a blue chew? What do you tell him?
Well, first off, we got to address the super chat. Shout out to Stephen Ma. He said Vanny channeled his inner Diego Simeone in the locker room after the first half. He probably cursed everyone out.
I would hope so.
It was more like that one old video where it wasn't a real coach, but I can't remember where this video was from, where everyone's sitting on the bench and the coach just walks around slapping everybody in the face. As he's it felt like that, I feel like that's what happened, right? Because Vanny literally said, "Fuck you, Chewy." I did the right starting lineup, and big credit to Vanny for believing in that 11, because I feel like anybody in this position, obviously we sit here and Vanny's sitting on the bench, but I think any of us the first thing we would have done is look at Jalen and maybe pulled him and put in like a Casares or whoever was ready to go, right? Independence Day now, but nah, tampoco. But no, I think you got to give big credit to Vanny, and I wish there was like a camera there. He must have gave some hell of a speech because, God, these guys came out, yeah, just whole fucking different. It was like just hit the switch, dude. I don't know. It was, and it was crazy because that stadium was dead. I think, right? I don't even think
100%.
I don't even think Levas came with the same number of people that they usually do as far as fans go. The stadium did. I don't know if they reported a sellout. It definitely wasn't sold out. I think there was a lot going on in LA. There was also UFC. So, this is also a
Canelo.
fucking yeah. This is also a Canelo. There's also a rivalry that's kind of been played out a lot, right? So for your casual fan, it's kind of like that part has died down. So yeah, the energy in the stadium was really dead when it started, and then especially even with the halftime show too, it wasn't the greatest, and there was like no hype, and then it seemed like from the get go that it was like, okay, something's brewing, and you felt like that need like to explode, right?
Yeah.
To just let it out, and
Gotta
Give him that hawk too and spit on that thing.
Gotta get that splooge out, baby. Gotta get that splooge
yeah,
out.
yeah,
You know what I
right, and yeah, and what a way for that to happen.
Yeah, halftime. I was actually very disappointed in seeing this first half team. It offended me seeing them try to go offensively in its first half. It seemed like I was out there with my old ass jogging with the ball on my foot and just watching everybody play. It looked disgusting. It wasn't anything that we've seen one of the most potent offenses in MLS do in any type of match. Granted, I think Eddie, I don't know if you're in the group chat. Willis, one of our another co-hosts, had mentioned that LAFC in the second half are the type of team that burns out. Seeing that could have been a factor in this match, David. Seeing how that could have been a factor in the second half. How did you see this second half start, and what would you have told your guys if that was your team coming into a halftime with a 2-0 deficit?
Well, I think first of all, you got to give a special shout out to giving it the hot Tua. Because yeah, they really did need to spit on that thing. It was look, I don't know what I tell my guys. I think that I think me as a dad, I think I give them the disappointed, vibe. The what, I thought you guys had it. Like what's up? I'm not really that much of a that kind of a yell and scream kind of motivator. But coming into the second half, you look at the way the team came out. And it could be that LAFC was happy to sit on their laurels and defend because they know that the Galaxy has a hard time breaking down that low block. But it really did look like they were gassed. They gassed out in by the 60th minute, Boanga was non-existent. And credit to the Galaxy for shutting things down, for playing with urgency, for really just taking over the reins and not letting LAFC come back into the game, because they really didn't let them come back into the game after that. I thought that everybody else was a lot more effective. I didn't even really see formation-wise whether or not there was any real tactical change. I mean, I know this is not the show for this. This is the vibe show. So
yeah, let's go. All feelings, no facts, baby.
But the vibes, yeah, exactly. But the vibes were high coming into the second half, and I think the Galaxy getting that goal early on really did make a difference, and the momentum swung and just never stopped.
I want to say, so I have a couple bullet points that I did on the second half, and I'm gonna give you guys the list that I have. Started the second half, and we still weren't sharp, but we were getting closer to their goal. Do you guys think that's a legitimate point?
Yeah, I think early on, like I said, that it started building after the ball kicked off, right? And then, yes, this is all feelings, no facts, but I listened to the post game interviews and because you talked about formation, right? And Yoshida, he mentioned that at halftime they made a change where they asked Yamane to stay more at home, right? And then
Yeah,
what
I
a
noticed
captain, what a captain too, because it's easy to like go up to like Jalen like, hey, next time you got him or whatever you might say, right? But instead, like in the post game, he said, "We messed up. I'm putting him on one-on-one situation with the player like Boanga. Anybody guarding Boanga one-on-one is gonna have trouble."
Yeah, nightmare.
Yeah,
Nightmare.
so that, I mean, for me, that's like, yeah, what a captain, because I would have not. That's not what I would have
Yeah,
said.
you
That's
would have
not
wanted to throw him under the bus, right?
Yeah, I would have. I would
Fuck out of my
have.
team.
Yeah.
No, but he also talked about that in the post game. He said that he didn't wait till halftime. He every opportunity that he could, he was talking to Jalen and telling him like, "Hey, come on!" Like basically like encouraging him and telling him like, "Come on, let it go, let it go." And I did think that there was one play going back to the first half a little bit. There was one play after the first goal where Jalen came up high and kind of, I think he did like a slide tackle to win the ball. And at that point I was like, okay, Jalen's got it from here on. Like he'll be fine from here on. And then he got cooked on that second one. But I do think that he recovered phenomenally, and I felt like he worked it to a point where he took Bowenga out of the game. I think that Jalen put Bowenga in his back pocket in that second half.
And I think you are 100% correct.
Jalen got home. He's like, wallet.
Oh,
keys,
shit, hell
Boanga.
yeah. And I want to say that, because I have it on my notes too, like one of those bullet points. I think I know Eddie, you mentioned at the 60th we looked very dominant, but I think it started a little bit before that. There was a play in the 50th minute where Ricky Pooch had put Gabriel Peck into space, and he had a one-on-one against the keeper. And I think that was probably the most clear chance that the LA Galaxy had against LAFC. And then from there on out, it just seemed that the LA Galaxy was very dominant. I felt it from home. The environment on the pitch, the environment at the stadium, everybody wanted that first goal. That was an LA Galaxy fan. The movement of the players was very well more fluent than it was in the first half. Jalen was just on. I don't know what he was on that second half. I'm telling you, Blue Chew. Vanny went in the second half and said, "Hey, buddy,
Rhino pills.
Here's a fucking water bottle. There's NAG secret stuff, and the NAG secret stuff includes a Rhino pill." So he gave it to everybody in the pitch. And after that 50th minute, I don't know if you guys want to tell me otherwise, they looked very down. They looked hungry. They looked like they wanted to win this match. They looked like the LA Galaxy that has a very high point offense and wanted to score some goals. Is that a correct assessment, David?
Yeah. They look like the team that you wish would have come out in the first half, in that second half. And like I said earlier, I do think that this Galaxy is still learning from that, and I think it's going to go all throughout the whole year. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to continue to be a learning experience, and then next year will be like the professional, like, hi, we're here to beat the shit out of you kind of team everywhere they go. But yeah, I think that the hunger came out, and as the minutes passed by and as they generated chances, you saw that they get more and more confident. I mean, like, the tiki taka was back for a little while.
Oof.
Yeah.
Beautifully done.
You know what happened? One thing is, I felt like I said, my mentality changed after the second half. It's crazy. I think we just saw, and then maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I got to get off that high, but like, we saw some of these guys grow up, like, in the second half. Like, just like Jalen was different, later in the game, he got in the face of Boanga. When have you seen Jalen get in anybody's face? Yeah, he punked him, and he got up and said something to him.
Shoulder check on another play too.
Yeah. On the wing, he had a one-on-one where he bodied him. It's like this. It was a different guy. Cerillo, he didn't have the worst game, but his second half was fucking phenomenal. Not just the goal, but it's like he felt a certain way for doing what he did in the first half, because that was an unnecessary move. So we saw these guys just grow up in front of our eyes, and then we saw Dayon pull something out that I've complained about, right? That he hasn't done is create for himself. That this season that has not been a Dayon goal,
That
right?
first goal.
He
Huh?
hasn't needed to,
That
but
first goal?
he's had that goal. He's had that goal in the past though. This season he hasn't needed to create for himself. But in this situation, he was like, no, I'm doing. He was. I mean, you can see he's hungry. That's the Dayon that I want to see. That's the Dayon that told us I'm the future of the galaxy.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been needing from him. He's sorely missed from that. But let's talk about the surreal goal for a second.
Oof.
Just
Oof.
Wait.
mind
Hold on.
blowing.
I'm coming. I'm just going to come as hard as I can.
Every time. Not only that, the fact that it was his first goal, and what a welcome to the sport sheet,
Bro,
right?
He hit that the best way you can hit that ball.
Yes.
I've tried to hit that ball before in the, I don't know, 30 years since that I've been playing. I've never been able to hit a ball that sweet. And I knew it. As soon as his foot hit the ball, I was like, oh my God. I mean, mamita querida. What a golazo, dude.
You can't even hit those on FIFA, bro.
On amateur, bro. On amateur, I can't hit those.
Yeah.
What is that? Donde las arañas ponen su nido right there.
Yeah.
That corner.
Spider nuts, baby. Spider nuts.
Spider nuts.
Spider nuts. Yeah. Dude, I know Dayon scored the first one to get everybody started, and I think Dayon came into this match extra horny. You said hungry, but I'm gonna say horny. He came in here very aroused, and in the first goal, he showed what he is, what he can do, what he can provide for the LA Galaxy moving forward. I know we've been myself, I've been a big Dayon fan since this season, just because I've already started 12 goals, 3 assists, 15 tallies to get the LA Galaxy to be on top of the West. And now he comes into this match, a very big match, which you needed to make a statement win. Off an injury, scores 2 goals, and the first one is going to be a good cut in the box to put it on top of the spider nuts of Lloris.
Yeah.
And then you give the horniness to young Serio. Eddie, how horny was that?
Oh man. I probably should see a doctor very soon.
It's been more than 4 hours.
How many hours has it been?
Yeah. Gray sweats were a poor outfit choice. No, yeah, dude. It was I'm gonna jump ahead of myself a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because every championship season has something special, right? And it's been weird. Like this season's been a weird one, but that special thing hasn't happened. And the way things happened last night, I mean, that might be it. That might be that moment that's gonna launch us into a title run. And one thing I didn't get to mention before when I was talking about watching these guys grow up, we also saw something click that was amazing. And I talked about this when the signing happened, right? That Royce was gonna make Ricky better, right?
Yeah.
I always said that Ricky had another level of his game. Yes, you want to call me a hater or whatever. It's like, no, like it was frustrating at times to watch him. And Ricky says in the post-game interview too, when they scored the third one, that Royce turned around to him and told him to calm down. You know? And then we saw these guys, and we saw these guys start clicking in the second half. And good God, Tiki Taco, you know, that was it right there, dude. That shit was, it was just something amazing to watch, right? Like I said, this might have been the moment, and this was before the red card.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of the things that I liked about this match in particular, it wasn't the goals. It wasn't the second half performance of Edwin Serio and Jalen Neal. It was the fact that the veteran player that you just signed to a TAM contract was able to go 90 and keep everybody level-headed. Keep everybody, hey, papa, don't worry about it. Second half, we got this shit. It's something that I think we've been missing for a long time. I know we had like veterans like in Zlatan, even in Roman Alessandrini, but they were players who wanted to do stats for themselves, quote unquote. It seems like Royce is buying into what the LA Galaxy is trying to do, and which is just win as a team and have that mentality of being the most winningest club in MLS. And I think he bought into this shit last night with him playing that many minutes, with him being that calm on the ball, with him, like you said, just telling Ricky, hey, chill the fuck out. You need a lot of those veteran voices to tell you, hey, slow down a little bit, Papa. You need this and this and that, and you're better than what you are. David, how did you see this match overall? Second half, of course, it was probably the greatest half they've ever had as an El Galaxy. Is that something you saw as well?
Yeah, I think you saying that there's a special thing, there's a special moment that comes, and I'll go back to like one of my favorite quotes from The Office is, "I wish you knew about the good times while you were still in them."
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about special moments. Sometimes you don't realize that that moment was a special moment until after the fact. And I think that everybody kind of realized like this was a special moment for the Galaxy. And I think that this is one of those things where they faced adversity, they were able to overcome adversity, and they dominated. And they showed that even in the face of a team that every MLS head still rates above the Galaxy for whatever reason. You know, everybody loves to talk about how, well, LAFC is going to get there. I feel like the Galaxy hasn't been getting that respect, and I think last night they showed everybody that they better respect this team, because we're finally getting back to that team that you don't want to face in the playoffs. You're not going to want to face this team in the playoffs, because look what they just did to your little darlings. It really is. The one thing that you touched on Royce, putting his arm around Puig and talking to him, and like, chill, we got this. I really, really hope that he gets to affect Ricky's mouth, because he got another yellow card last night for a celebration, deserved. The Matador celebration.
Ole.
I think that was well worth it.
Ole.
But Ricky really needs to stop getting yellow cards. That is not something we need. And I don't know mathematically if he can get enough to be suspended at some point, and I don't know if it resets in the playoffs. But either way, I think that that's a point of maturity that he really needs to get to. Same thing, and oddly enough, for 26-year-old Joseph Paintel, he needs to learn the same thing. That's neither here nor there. But I think that, as you said, Bryant, this was a special night, not just because it was against LAFC. I think because they faced adversity, they were down and out, and they pulled themselves up, and they came back, and they did something special.
This is the point of the show where I know everybody's happy, but I'm about to shit in your cereal.
Whoa, god damn.
Yeah. As much as we enjoy
Spit on
this,
that thing first. Come on, man.
hot tour. Let's be honest. If you are trying to be the contending team and the team in the West, and not just in the West, in all but MLS, you don't have that first half. I know Ricky mentioned when he was walking out, LA Galaxy posted a clip of Ricky Puig saying, "Oh, partidazo, this and this." It wasn't a partidazo. It wasn't a great match. It was a great comeback, but you guys had a shitty first half. And let's keep it real. If you're gonna keep these fucking first half shitty moments, there's gonna be teams that are gonna be able to buckle down on you, and you're gonna be out of the playoff run. Eddie, what are some things that the LA Galaxy could do to tighten up going into this playoff run that we want to see them succeed? I know we've had a lot of talks about what the offense have does, but we've seen what the offense could do when people are in the right positions. What can they do to be better going forward?
Well, this is something that me and Edgar keep talking about, right? It's like, when the argument of like championship runs and are we back? And you said it, it's like yesterday was a special night. Not every night can be a special night, right? There's going to be times where, I mean, look at St. Louis. What, St. Louis beat us 2-0, I think? We couldn't come back against them, right? And they're nowhere near as good as LAFC. So one thing is just we gotta start playing from minute one. I don't know what it is about this team. And another thing me and Edgar have talked about, and maybe Dave, if you want to touch on this too, is like name a few games that have been full 90 games this season for the Galaxy. It's like it's either one half, and then we escape with the second half, or we wake up in the second half. So this team has to play for 90 minutes. That's what has to happen. Obviously, there's some things to clean up in defense, whether that's with Jalen or when Garces gets healthy. That's yet to be seen. But number one is play for 90 minutes. This team has not done that too much this season, despite being on top of the West. Because we've played we've had great moments and great halves, but yeah, I think in the long run that's not going to benefit us, especially when it comes to the playoffs.
David?
I think there's only been one game in recent memory that I can say that was a 90-minute performance, but I'll double down on you a little bit, to borrow a phrase from Balls and Beers here. Name a 90-minute game that the Galaxy have had that wasn't a shit the bed 90 minutes game in the last 10 years. They haven't. We don't have. That's not who the Galaxy are right now. They haven't been that for a long time, and so I think that having these moments of of resilience should be celebrated and should be acknowledged. They shouldn't, it shouldn't be like, hey, good job, you're doing great, no notes. No. We always want better. We always demand better. We're not satisfied with the playoffs, making the playoffs. We want to lift the trophies at the end. And I'll even say too, in 2015 or 16, I went on record at the very beginning of our podcast saying, if we don't win every competition that we're in this year, we failed. And to me, that's my mentality going into next year. If we don't win every competition that we were in, we failed as a team, as an organization. That should be the standard, not make the playoffs and beat LAFC. No. That's small potatoes. But with that being said, again, they're learning. And so yes, you want them to have that 90 minutes of like full performance or 90 plus minute of full performance, but it's not always going to be like that. So you take the good for what it is and celebrate it.
Yeah. It is a little annoying that they have to learn in this process that they're going through, because it seems that everybody's very, very hyped of what the LA Galaxy is. And we know as longtime Galaxy fans, this is not what they are. We've seen them be very dominant and win titles. We're not there yet. And this is probably the first year of experience or experiment with Will Kuntz as the head of the front office, who's able to give Greg Vanney the players that he wants, the player that he needs. But even at that, I think they're in a very good position, despite all the not drawbacks, but what this team has gone through with the last regime. And I think we're good. Before we get into awards, though, we did ask Edgar what his thoughts were about the overall match, and it goes as follows. My thoughts. It's gratifying to see how dangerous LA Galaxy can be when they're all playing without motivation and purpose. The second half was MLS Cup level football. I can agree to that. However, we can't forget what happened in the first half. I can also agree to that. The mental mistakes, the missed assignments, the lack of focus, but damn, what a comeback. For LAFC to be seemingly in command and their way to sweeping the season series, then to have the LA Galaxy war back like that and completely erase them from the pitch. Galaxy ripped their hearts out. Hopefully, Vanney and the boys maintain the same energy the rest of the way. They finally found a formula. For the most part, I think I could agree with Edgar on that. I'm very anti-LA Galaxy defense right now. I think this is our biggest flaw and why we will not win MLS Cup if we get to that point. I got to see the Easter Conference, And I'll let you guys know now, Columbus Crew is the most dangerous team in MLS right now. And on top
more
of
than
that,
Miami, more than Miami.
yeah, and on top of that, I think Cucho Hernandez is the best player in MLS. Bold statement. All right, boys,
I'll buy that.
let's get into some awards. Per usual, I don't know, David, you know how the awards work, right?
I do.
Oh, he's ready.
He's ready. The BJ, the Bad Job Award. We had the Game is Off, the Geo. We have the Honorable Mention, of course, the most prestigious, the next Any Player Award of the match. But we're gonna start off with some BJs. Eddie, what BJ do you want to give out today, if any?
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do no BJ's today.
What about you, David? Any
Yeah,
BJs?
yeah. See, it would have been it would have been obviously Jalen Neal at the beginning, but he more than recovered. He does not deserve a BJ at all. Sorry, hold on. Let me rephrase that.
You might after that took it.
He might. No, I'll say that I think the lack of game changers coming off the bench maybe deserve that, because I feel like they were they didn't quite match the energy of the game when they came in. It took them a minute, so it's very, very fine line. Usually when we do our stuff, we do top rated and lowest rated player of the game. So if I have to give it to somebody, if I have to get it to somebody, maybe it's McCarthy. But he did make that double save. So I don't know. Maybe everybody's getting HJs instead of BJs today.
Eddie, you say no BJs. Well, let's get into the Game is Off. I know you had some
I'll lead the
some
way.
words, Eddie.
Sure. So, game is off, right? For the most part, everybody's game was off in the second half, right? So it's
First half.
first half. So it's easy to pick anybody, right? But you have to highlight the moments that stood out in that second half, right? Obviously, the young man bounced back in the second half, but the game was off. It goes to Neil. It has to go to Neil just because, like I said, those moments put us in that situation. I think more than anything, I know Yoshida said it's tough to face a Bouanga 1-on-1, but the first one he went down pretty early. You know, I feel like he could have stayed on his feet a little longer, and just for that, you know, it's a harsh criticism because he did bounce back and we saw a whole different side of him in the second half, but can't erase what happened.
Game is off, David.
I think I said my piece on Jalen. I don't want to say that his game is off, because I thought that because of the recovery that he had in the second half, definitely does not deserve game is off. I'm going to give this to Vanny for his tactics in the first half.
Good man. I like that.
Yeah.
What we say about facts, dude? What a jerk.
Yeah, I know. It's all feelings. All
all
feelings, no facts, bro.
Yeah, I can't give this. I can't give it to Joseph Paintsell. So yeah,
I want to give it to Cedillo on this one, in the first half. I felt that his workload and his work rate in the first half seemed lackluster. It wasn't just him though. Like Eddie mentioned, it was the whole team. Everybody deserved the BJ. Everybody deserved the game is off. But in particular, what started and what instigated the first goal, aside from the Ricky Bat pass, was the lack of recovery from Edwin Cedillo. Well, we're going to get to the positives. And I think from here on out, it's going to be a little bit harsh, a little bit harder.
Yeah, it is.
Hit me one time, Eddie. Hit me one time.
I'm coming. I'm just going to come
We're coming
as
hard,
hard as
baby.
I can.
We got to come as hard as we can, baby.
That's my favorite button.
The honorable mention, the You Got Hartman Award. Let's start with our guest first. David.
Edwin
Who had
Cerrillo.
heart today?
Edwin Cerrillo. I'm jumping all over that. It's Edwin Cerrillo. I mean, that kid, well, say what you will about his first half and his giveaway that led to that first goal. The dude recovered so well in the second half. And we've seen flashes like we have a legit like top level MLS midfielder out of him sometimes. We saw it against Miami. We've seen it throughout the season. The guy hits a freaking cañonazo and just makes the place explode. I mean, you got it. It's Edwin Cerrillo.
Yeah. Eddie?
You know what? I was gonna go with Edwin Cerrillo. I even wrote it down, right? But I kind of like went through it, and I was thinking about this, and because there's a lot of people, you can give this to. But you know what? A shout out is deserved here because, you know, when you don't mention a defender, it's a good thing. But when you don't mention offensive player, it's a bad thing, right? Now, John Nelson messed up, well, kind of in the first one. It's a deflection. Yeah, you didn't track your man. And Bogusz, I think, right? Bogusz is the one that scored. He's been there like X Factor for LAFC.
Yeah.
Tell me another moment that you remember calling Bogusz's name or Bogusz's name was called.
None.
Right? And this guy has terrorized every team this season.
Every team.
Non-factor in this game. So for me, it's going to be John Nelson that's going to get that You Got Heart Man award.
I think John Nelson could probably get the You Got Heart Man throughout the whole season. This man has been fucking pickup.
And what did I tell you guys in the chat, right? That Alde being out could be a blessing in disguise. We don't know if we get the same performance from Alde.
Yeah, and it's not to say that Alde is bad.
No, not at all.
It just seems that in this format, in this style of play, whatever Vanny wants to do, Johnny Nelson just seems to thrive, and he's been more than solid. For me, I know David mentioned Edwin Cerrillo, and shout out to Nuestra Galaxia Futbolera, who asked him the question about today's goal and how he felt. And, you know, Edwin Cerrillo got emotional. First goal in a big match. But I'm going to give it to the veteran. Me personally, have criticized having to have a veteran who's not in shape yet. And he showed out for 90 plus today. And on top of that, he was a factor in that second half. Marco Reus came, showed up, knew what the derby was, knew what the LA rivalry was, didn't even second guess it, and gave us the extra push and maybe the extra calmness as a veteran to maybe win this game and maybe have his arm around our best player to tell him, hey, we got this, bro. I think that goes a long way, aside what goes on the pitch. And for me, Marco Reus gets that honorable mention. Gentlemen, the most prestigious award of all of MLS. The next standing player of the match. Hit me one time with the horny.
Man, we're running out of horny.
I'm coming. I'm just going to come as hard as I can.
Nah, we're always horny, baby. David, your next standing player of the match.
This was pretty difficult for me to think about in the 30 seconds that I've been thinking about it here. Do I give it to Dejan, who had 2 goals and was just an absolute menace in that second half? And not only in the second half, but as he's coming out, is hyping the crowd up, is kissing the crest. You know, like, what more do you want from a guy like that? I've done this twice, by the way. I figured out the wrong side because I'm looking at
backwards cameras. I got you. I keep pointing at
Or you give it? Do you give it to the guy, the little man, with the big mouth, that wants the respect, that is running the show? I think you have to give it to Ricky Puig. He shut everybody up, especially for El Profe. Sorry, Alex. He shut us up. And by the way, keep doubting him, please. All throughout the rest of the playoffs, please keep doubting this man because he loves nothing more than to shut people up. It's Ricky Puig.
Eddie, you better back that up. You better back that up.
I think there's a lot of no. That's fair. I think a lot of them are fair, right? Ricky's fair. I think Royce is fair. Oh, careful there, Brian. You all right, dude? Take it
I'm
easy.
too horny right now, bro.
Yeah, I see that.
You're talking about Ricky Splues right now.
Yeah. But we talked about moments, right? And then how special this night was, and then we saw what led the charge was the half chance that Dayon did, and the comeback doesn't start without that. So for me, that's why I choose Dayon, because for me, I mean, I had a little more than 30 seconds. Maybe that's why I came up with Dayon. And aside from being a harsh critic on Ricky, I've also been a harsh critic on Dayon too. And he told me, "Shut the fuck up, Eddie." I saw that. He pointed at me after he scored that. You saw Dave was right by me. He saw that. And yeah, for me it's Dayon, because like I said, he charged the way into that comeback, and it wasn't. It was a half chance, and he put somebody. I don't remember who he put on skates. He put somebody on skates and spider nuts. So we needed that from Dayon. Hopefully that kind of pulls him too now for the remainder of the season.
Oof. You guys made very good valid points for both of them. And I know I only have to give it a 1. So I'm going to give it to 1. Miguel Berry, suck my dick.
Bro, take it easy.
Nah, I know we've never done this on the show, but I think for this match in particular, I think it's fair to share between Dayon and Ricky. Point being, Dayon coming off an injury.
Cop out.
No. But this is the thing, though.
Oh, yeah, wrong button. I have one for that too.
but I think it's legit.
Eddie.
I think it's legit. Dayon coming up for injury, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, we want a new forward. We need this and this and that." Dayon comes in, shows that he is our forward, and puts his name on the game. Another person who we've criticized a lot, especially Eddie and Edgar, came in as well. 2 assists and 1 goal. It's really tough between them two to give either one the MVP. I would love for them to share it, and I hope they can one day. But for this match in particular, because of the absence that he has had, because of the bashing that he has taken online, I think I want to give it to Jovic in this match. Jovic was extra horny today. Even when he got fouled outside the box, he had the crowd hyped. He was waving his arms up and saying "Vamos." He don't even speak Spanish, and he said "Vamos." You know what I mean? This man is trying to show that he is the forward for the LA Galaxy. He is the future of the LA Galaxy, and today was a statement game for him. Started the comeback. Came on the comes of backs with the second goal.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah, Dejan Jovic, my guy. I love him as the bishop. I love him as the forward. I love him as our LA Galaxy main striker.
Decky,
baby. And not to say that Ricky Puig doesn't deserve it, because everything that David said about him and everything that the Profe Alex Reese has said about him and him proving us wrong, I'm about to tweet him right now. Hey, Ricky, you suck. You better get on the fucking playoff shit. So yeah, gentlemen, what a great match.
So real quick,
yes.
As you guys know, Riot Squad usually gives a player the man of the match beer right at the end of the game. This video came across. They sent it to me. It's pretty cool. I just wanted to play it. So Edwin Cedillo got the man of the match for LA Riot Squad, and this video is from Total LA Galaxy. I'm not gonna play the audio because Peso Pluma doesn't like us. But yeah, like here it is.
Hey, dude, you know how I know he's
Hey,
been
relax with
drinking
that tongue, is he?
Dude, you know he's
cold.
Man, you know this fool's been drinking since like 12, bro. That was Mexican. What the fuck you mean, bro? Shout out to Edwin Cedillo, bro. I love the fact that this man is so hyped. I love the fact that he came to the LA Galaxy and said that he wanted a new adventure. He felt like he needed to move. He's embraced what the culture has been here. We've embraced them. I hope he's a long-time LA Galaxy player.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that post-game interview, and even if you're not into the post-game interviews, watch the Cedillo one. Like, if you don't love Cedillo like we do yet, watch that video. This kid this kid is happy. This kid can be here for a very long time if
He
it all goes
bleeds blue, white, and gold.
well. Yeah.
He does. Gentlemen, we've come to the conclusion of the show, but before we leave, Eddie, I know you had some side notes
Oh
that you
yeah,
wanted
sure.
to address, and I think
so
it's very important.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to that question, right? The question that's been asked, and I just wanted to bring something up, right? The whole "Are we back?" thing. It's supposed to be something fun, right? I think this came up last year or the year before. It was like a joke, and it's kind of like it's meant to be fun, and then it just gets out of hand, right? It gets out of hand. People have opinions, right? This is just opinions, just like this show is just opinions. And we get at each other's throats. There's insults thrown around, and it's like, dude, we're rooting for the same fucking team. Have fun with it, people. If you don't agree, it's okay. It's okay. State your facts, or you know what? Another option is just don't say anything. And it comes to another point. And oh, by the way, the "Are we back?" What's the definition? There is no definition. Are we back? Nobody's put it out there. It just started floating out in the Twitterverse, and it became a thing. So it's subjective. For you, if they're back, right? I have my definition is of us being back. Brian has a different definition. Dave has a different definition. Chewy has a different definition. Are we back? And I'll answer mine at the end. But I want to get to the point too. It's not just that, right? We on this show, we online, we criticize players, and that's okay. Again, back to opinions. Right, it was brought to our attention that there was issues with Mr. Neal, who's very involved with the Galaxy fandom. Her son is Jalen Neal, if you're not aware, and she was getting harassed basically at the stadium, harassed on the stadium, harassed online, and those things are not okay. They're not okay.
100.
It's okay to have an opinion, but be respectful. Be respectful to each other. We're all rooting for the same fucking team. And also, you know, you can't pick and choose when things are wrong and when things are right, and when you can criticize people, when you can't. So just enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. State your opinions if you like. Respect other people's opinions. And if you don't agree, and if you don't have nothing nice to say, or you feel like you're going to say something online, just don't say anything. Simple as that. And as far as this "Are we back?" question, and we'll go around the table.
I think we should count to three and say it all at the same time.
Okay.
Because I want to say, because I want to say more. But okay, we'll do that first.
No, say more.
No.
This is your show.
No. As far as that, no. But I like that. And the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
No.
Left in the cup.
Damn it, Cop, I got us. So I'll tell you why. I know, right? My definition of being back is being title contenders, right? This shirt was not by accident. I wore this on purpose. Why? Job not finished for me. Job not finished. We talked about a lot of things that still need to be fixed on this episode. You know, these special nights don't happen every night. Now, I gave Chewy and Tony the analogy of the dog with the bone. You remember that, Chewy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Wonderful in Shark Tank talks about the dog with the bone. You know what I'm talking about? David, you see, I see you laughing already. Where right now we won this game, right? But there's still a season left to be played. It still doesn't guarantee us home field advantage. So the dog with the bone, he's carrying a bone. He walks into like a pond, and he sees his reflection, and he sees another bone. So he opens his mouth to grab the other bone, and he drops it into the water, and he ends up with no bone.
Yeah,
we want our bone. We don't have our bone yet. Okay? So for me, it's not there yet. Last night, definitely, you know, changes my mind or sways me the other way a bit, but I'm not there yet. We still have a bit of a tough schedule. Portland's not an easy place to play at, right? We have Vancouver at home, but we've seen ourselves get complacent against other teams. and then we have the boogeyman in Houston away, right at the end of the season. So there's still a lot of season to be played.
Yeah.
So I can feel that we're back if we end this season strong. I can feel that we're back going into the playoffs. But great special moment last night. But it's very important for me to see what happens next and how they react. As long as they're not the dog with the bone, we should be okay.
I think we've done a lot of in the windows because like boneless.
Bone.
Just to add on what you said, Eddie, I'm with you. The stuff that I discussed earlier on the defensive side is still not corrected in my eyes. I know the other guys had a great second half against this team, but like Eddie said, these special moments and this special match in particular is not going to be every time. We need to see this second half team perform every half from here on out for me to be convinced that this team is back. Aside from that, I mean, we're in a solid position, and I think the LA Galaxy could stay in this position as long as they take those blue chews. David, what do you think?
I've said it on our show as well that for me, like first of all, to go back to what Eddie was saying earlier, the LA Galaxy is a little bit different for everybody depending on when you started becoming a fan. Some of us have been around since the beginning. Others have joined in, like I know people that have joined in like 2018. And I'm like, how are you still a Galaxy fan, bro?
Facts though.
Like, bro, that's incredible. Thank you. But it's different for everybody. And so the are we back question depends on what you think the Galaxy is. For me, the Galaxy is a team that lifts championships, a team that is a title contender for every year. They have a straight shot. The cup runs through the Galaxy, right? In order for that to happen, we have to be there. So I don't think we're back. Even if we make it, to MLS Cup this year, I'll say that we're back. And the year after that, even if we don't make it, I'll say that we're back. Unless we don't make the playoffs, obviously.
Dude, imagine.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. In order for the cup to run through us, we have to hold it first, right? So the West has to run through us. Then the cup can run through us. That's what the Galaxy being back to me is. But it could be different for anybody. And yeah, Galaxy fans, I think, can get very defensive and very precious about how they feel about the team and what their opinions are. And that's the beauty of having shows like News Across the Galaxy, like Corner of the Galaxy, like La Cuna Galaxiana, like LA is our house, and a ton of other of the independent Galaxy podcasts that have popped up in the last 10 years. Everybody gets to have an opinion about how they feel about our team. But ultimately, it's our team. It's the same team that we're all rooting for collectively. So we all want them to succeed. The Galaxy will be back. They will be back. Are they back right now?
To be determined.
TBD.
To be determined. And beautifully said. With that, we're going to close out the show. I know.
Wait. Chewy. Are they back?
Oh, Chewy.
Are they back? I don't feel like the Galaxy's back yet. It's a great step in the right direction. But I've said it a couple of times, right? We're a second half team, and I don't think that's enough to get MLS Cup. I don't think that's enough to get to a championship game. We need to be able to play in both halves, and I think that's still a lot of work. It's looking really nice, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a super chat from Adam. $5.
Yes.
Thank you, Adam. before the game, I had Galaxy winning, but they had to play without. But they had to play without careless mistakes in order for them to win. Second half, didn't think they would win, and I think that's what everyone felt.
Yeah.
A funny comment, Miguel in the chat. Damn, Brian is on one of those narco interviews where they change the lighting and hide the identity. We need to make your voice deep, bro.
Sorry, y'all. I had to fucking switch my laptop. My bad. I'm not on my casting couch. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure having you guys on, especially David from LA's Our House. Thank you once again, sir, for joining us. Let everybody know where they can find you and your lovely podcast.
Yeah, so our podcast is available wherever you can get podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, or is iTunes even a thing anymore? Apple Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. We're at LA's Our House on Instagram and on X. And we don't have a TikTok because we're three old guys that don't understand the TikTok. But catch us on Skibbity Toilet.
There you go.
Yeah, let's go. And make sure you guys follow them because they have a really good podcast. They actually have facts, unlike us. We just talk shit. Eddie, where can the people find you?
Dave, thanks again for being on, man. I mean,
thank you guys for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, we try to get a guest man, but I guess you're good enough. Anyways, totally kidding, man. Thank you. You can find me in real life. That's it. Thank you.
There it is.
I'm here on News Across the Galaxy.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. You can
Sometimes
find me
on the Oculus too. That's pretty cool.
Hey, Oculus is fucking sick. You can find me as Bryant Nags on Instagram and Twitter. And actually, you guys can follow my Lobos Family Grooming page. I'll leave it out there. If you guys need
Shameless plug.
I got you.
Shameless plug. Do it.
It's a dog grooming, just in case, because you didn't specify what type of grooming.
Well, I was about to get into that. I was about to tell them that I wash bitches. No, just Chuyaso on the ones and twos. Where can the people find you?
You guys can find me as Chavez JA, Chavez Ha on all my social media. Pretty easy, pretty simple.
And we will try to. We will. Oh, what is that? Pretty easy, pretty simple. I love it. And of course, Edgar and I are going to try to do we'll see if we could get a midweek show with the Portland guys and maybe with the Vancouver guys. Stay tuned to that. But aside from that, thank you everybody for turning in. Thank you, David, for joining us on this beautiful Sunday after a great 3-point victory against our crosstown rivals, our noisy neighbors, if you will. And so that does it from us and News Across the Galaxy. From David.
I'm coming. I'm just going to come as hard as I can.
We're going to come as hard as we can. From David, Eddie, Bryant, and Chewy. Let's get up in here and let's keep on coming.
You gotta give him that hawk to it. Spit on that thing.